In today's episode, winning April Fool's Day. The network guy. Less than 3 is in the air. Oh no. The computer can print now. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Winning April Fool's Day. Our most senior back-end dev guy decided today was the day to become a legend. 8 a.m. to the director he quietly sends a resignation letter. Panic ensues. This guy's business critical, he knows how everything works on a dozen products at code level and wrote a few of them. Bosses begin having heart attacks, and the director finds out the HR person that we would need to make a counteroffer is on vacation. So at this point they're about to start waking up executives in other countries and kicking loose emergency negotiations, as he's that critical, and someone messages the guy this really is not the best time for this. His response: no, but it is the best day for it. I'm sure they'll see how funny it was eventually. He should have waited an hour to see what kind of offer they came up with. The network guy. I work for an optometry supply company doing electronic repair and installation of everything you might find in an optometrist or ophthalmologist practice. The other day we were doing a relocation of a major Optum chain store from one shop to another in a shopping center. I was busy doing my install of the new equipment, but also had to deal with their older gear. One of the pieces was a phoropter and auto refractor setup linked to an eye chart. These all use serial connectors to communicate with each other, so I was a little thrown when they told me this one was connected via the network. After a quick squiz I realized that they had wired the serial DIN plugs into RJ45 connectors, and were using the network points on the walls to connect them across the different rooms and patching the ports directly into each other at the patch panel. Okay, no probs. The shop was abuzz with people moving, installing, and building stuff. I found the IT dude that was responsible for connecting the network to tell him what we needed. Me: hey mate, this machine over here is actually connecting through the network ports with a serial connector, so I'll need to bridge ports 14 and 38 to give them a direct connection. Can you set that up and make sure it's labeled so no one tries to plug it into the switch, because I don't know what that would do. Network guy, * crickets. * blank stare. Okay. So you need to connect the ports? Me: yeah, but they have to connect to each other and not through the switch or router. It's a serial connection. Ing. Me. Ing. Okay, I think I'll circle back to this guy later. I go on with my installs and eventually get to connecting up the phoropter. I set everything up and then go find the network guy sitting in front of the patch panel staring into the abyss. Me: hey, so I need to patch those ports? NG: okay, so plug in here? He pointed to the patch panel, which currently had only 3 cables going to it and nowhere else. The switch had no lights and no cables. NG: they didn't give me any instructions on how to do this. Me: well, the cables from the panel need to go either into the switch or into the phone system depending on what they are. Or if you have a separate phone system. I really can't tell you. NG: so plug these into here? He pointed at the 3 dangling wires and then pulled out the switch. It wasn't plugged in and no cables were going into the front or back. NG: so where does this plug into? Me: I really can't tell you. Aren't you the networking guy? NG: yeah, but they didn't give me any instructions. He looked totally lost. I found a patch cable and bridged my ports. I went to the store manager and told her that the network guy seriously didn't have a clue about what he was doing. On the bright side, my machine worked first go. I just hope the network guy doesn't unplug it. Less than 3 is in the air. This tale takes place more than 2 decades ago, when the phones were still dumb and the discourse on social media was still smart. GeoCities was still under construction and MySpace didn't even exist yet. I had just left my small hometown behind and started college in a big city, where I learned that there is an upper limit to how much ice cream one man should eat in one sitting, and that total anonymity is not enough to escape the legacy of being the computer guy. One night I was hanging out with a few friends, getting my ass kicked at Marvel vs. Capcom by a girl whose strategy was essentially mash all the buttons. Let me tell ya, it stings just a bit to keep losing to someone like that. Still does, in fact. Anyway, the night went on and we all started discussing our school life. It turned out the girl who'd been kicking my ass for the last hour was having computer troubles and needed to get an assignment delivered to a professor by the end of the week. I can help with that, I blurted out. My cover as a normal human is blown. Really, she said. That'd be great. Come fix it tomorrow afternoon and I'll send you home with some food. I had been tutoring in exchange for home-cooked meals for some time by this point. It's a great way to meet people and not starve, and most of the people I knew didn't have much cash either, so everybody won. So the next day I visited her house, turned on the computer, and heard an awful grinding noise from the CD burner. Has it always been possessed? No, this is new. Ah, well, it looks like you'll need a replacement. Although I don't remember why anymore, I knew she needed the drive operational ASAP, so I took her down to the local computer shop. I spoke the language of IT and managed to get her a deal on a 4X burner. Slaps top of box, this bad boy can burn so much data. Back at her place I installed the drive and saved the day, netting me a big hug and many thanks. As I was putting my screwdriver back in my bag, she turned to me. Hey, do you want to go out for dinner? To this day, there is exactly one person in this world whose computer I don't mind fixing. Oh no. The computer can print now. The one woman for whom I do tech support called me at work in a tizzy. I know you're busy, but we can't print from the family computer again. It works from every other device though. No problem, I said. I bet it's because the printer no longer has a static address after I replaced our router. Give me a minute to remote in and fix it. Love, OpenWRT and WireGuard. So I set up the original IP address I'd assigned to the printer, asked my wife to power it down for a minute so I could kill its lease without the printer interfering somehow, and hit save on the settings page. About 30 seconds later my wife is screaming into the phone because everything she and my son had attempted to print came spewing out of the printer, and it turns out my son likes to try and try again if his print jobs don't at first succeed. My daughter was delighted, at least, since she has a lot more scrap paper for her artwork now.